again, thanks a lot for having us here. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you've been up to? I mean, you're a music and film composer. You've been writing music for games, done Call of Duty, obviously.
Yeah.
What have you been up to recently that you can talk about? I know there's a lot going on, but what's some of your favorite stuff?
Well, Call of Duty came out in November of 2008, and was one of the biggest titles of 2009, selling well over 10-11 million copies.
Amazing.
Also was one of the most successful downloadable content games as well. So that's been quite a thrill being involved with the Call of Duty franchise, and it's nice to follow up Harry Gregson Williams, who did Modern Warfare 2, and I was able to do World at War, which was then followed by Hans Zimmer's Modern Warfare 2. So I feel really lucky to be bookmarked by such amazing composers.
Talk a little bit about Sonar. What are some of the track counts that you're looking at with these projects? How big they are?
Well, let's see. On a typical cue, if it's an orchestral type of cue, I'm running like 80 to 120 tracks of MIDI. So they really build up fast. One of the things I like about Sonar is the fact that you have folders, and I tend to group all of my different instruments into different folders, keeping all my strings together, brass instruments and percussion instruments, and all of my synthesizer stems. So,
yeah, the track folders are. I mean, when you're working with a track count like that, there's absolutely no way you can come. It's amazing to be able to have the organization of everything, having that, and bringing the 120 tracks down to 12. Grouped into the track folders is really something amazing.
It's a great improvement. I just remember scrolling through 100 and some tracks in Cakewalk Pro Audio before it
and to
was
be able
developed.
To solo, from the track folder itself, to be able to solo the whole track by itself.
Yeah,
from that track folder.
That's very helpful. So you can just solo your strings, mute your strings, just listen to the combination of your horns, how they're playing with your percussion elements, or your effect elements, or what have you. Yeah.
In terms of the orchestration, how does that actually, technically speaking, how does that work? Like, did you guys actually, how many tracks would you come back with, and how does that work with your integrating with your whole system in your writing process?
I'll tell you the process. First, it starts in Sonar. Everything's written on the computer. Not on the computer, but I play all the parts.
Yep.
Everything's arranged in Sonar. Then the music is given to a MIDI file is given to a music preparation or a score preparer, and they then put that in a format where your orchestrator can work with. And from the orchestrator, then it goes to the copyist. So there's 3 or 4 different levels that it's got to go to before it gets the pages
That's
get
amazing.
down to the music stands on the scoring stage.
Wow. And then so after that, it goes through that filtering process, and it finally ends up on their music stands. How then in the recording process from the orchestration, was it actually, did they come in with a recording mobile unit, or obviously it wasn't in a recording studio? Where technically was it recorded, and how was that format put down on tape?
All of the tracks are split out in stems. All of my synth tracks are put into different stems in case we need to reference them. To tell you the truth, they don't want to hear the synthesizer stuff.
Okay, right.
They just want to look at the notes, take a few directions, and play it.
Wow.
They, click. If you've got synth percussion tracks going, they're not going to even want to listen to it. I mean, they're really just going to listen to a click track.
Right.
So everything's prepared. You just bring your sessions out, and you come back with, 40, 50 different tracks for it.
So that's the track count basically for that?
Oh my God, there's so many different mic configurations. So every microphone gets its own track.
Right.
So you have your Deca trees, which are basically your 2 huge room mics. Then you get your close mics on the strings. You get your first violin mics. There's so many different arrays of microphones that can be set up, and each one of those are tracked out in whatever recording device you're using.
Can you take us a little bit from the process, because you just said a lot of things that are interesting to even someone like myself who doesn't know a lot about the video game world, and is it the situation where you're actually going into meetings with the producers and then you're coming back here and you're delivering them stuff on the fly, they're saying kind of, yeah, this is the direction, and you go with that direction?
Yeah, what you do is you start, obviously you read the script, you know the storyline, you have creative meetings to begin with, and then you just go at it by yourself. So it's pretty amazing. You have a lot of influence over a project that includes so many people, but you never have anybody standing over your shoulder when you're working. So you're totally left to your own devices. So you've come up with a few cues, and you see what the reaction is. And if you start getting really positive feedback, like, oh yeah, that's it, that's the vibe, then you start to see what they're responding to, and you start doing more things in that, in the same vein. And you just pay a lot of attention to how they're responding to you, and you go with that, and you massage that, and you expand upon it, and then you try and push the boundaries a little bit by trying different sound palettes. And and sometimes you start out with one thing, and by the end it's completely changed because of the input of people and the excitement level. When I get excited when people sit there and go, all right, that made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, or I just couldn't stop listening to that cue. When I hear that, then I am good to go, and I know that I've found a formula or a palette that is going to translate for everybody.
Sean, thank you so much for having us here today. I really
it's been a
appreciate it.
pleasure.
You've got a beautiful studio here, a beautiful environment, and we wish you nothing but the best, and thank you from all the Sonar users that are going to be watching this, that are going to get a lot out of it.
Oh,
Wish you all the
great.
best.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to show it off.